Let's call a meeting to order. The time is now 9:02, and for the Camino Real Regional Mobility Authority. So you want to call the roll, please?
Yes, Jim Smith.
Here.
Sylvester Reyes.
Here.
Monica Perez.
Here.
Sissy Bird.
Here.
Joyce Wilson.
Here.
Laura Enriquez.
Here.
Thank you all very much. No public comment received.
Okay. Did everybody get a chance to review the minutes? I'll entertain a motion to adopt them if there are no corrections.
I'll move.
Okay,
I'll
a
second
move
it.
and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
agenda item number 3, presentation, discussion, and action on board resolution authorizing the award of the Fabens Airport Hangar Extension Project to the lowest responsible bidder and the execution of amendments of the following instruments. A, the interlocal agreement with El Paso County. B, work authorization number 1.1 with Hewitt Zollers, Inc. And C, work authorization number 36.1 with Atkins North America. Robert?
Good morning, Robert Studer, Director of Finance. For the record, IT, would you bring up the presentation? Okay, so today we'll be discussing the Fabens Airport expansion project, specifically the hangars. You may recall in this project that we've had several different components we've assisted the county on. We had a deceleration lane. We're doing the fuel farm and the weather observation system. We've also designed some hangars for them. So this is a county project that originally began in 2019. The design was completed by Hewitt Zollers, one of our IDC firms. The CRRMA is going to provide construction services and construction management through Atkins. And construction funds will come from an Economic Development Administration grant that the county was awarded, as well as additional county funds. Here is the project location in Fabens. Here's a site plan. On the left, you've got the site plan. On the right is an example of hangar number 2, which includes a classroom, which is in the bottom right corner of the illustration. On the left-hand side, the site plan, the 3 hangars that we're going to construct as part of this are the 3 hangars to the bottom right. So the one at the bottom of the picture, the one to its right, and the one to its immediate north. The 2 at the top that are also gray will not be constructed as part of this. So the project consists of construction of several box hangars and the associated improvements at the airport. We had 3 base bids and 2 add alternate bids. Base bid 1 is hangar 2, which includes that classroom I pointed out on the previous slide, and additional work related to that hangar. Base bid 2 is a waterline extension from Fabens Road to the new hangars. And base bid 3 is construction of hangars 1 and 3. So it's a construction of a total of 3 hangars. Add alternates 1 and add alternate 2 for hangars 4 and 5 will not be pursued as part of this award. The county will provide funding and input as the owner. The RMA prepared and let the construction bids and will provide construction management services and oversight. So we first advertised the bid in November. We let it in January. We're here before you today to award and authorize construction, and then work could begin in April or May. Again, possible start date in April or May. It is a standard work week of Monday through Friday. Will take approximately 36 months to complete. Weather days will be credited, so the earliest possible completion most likely is 3 years from now in spring of 2027. Of course, weather permitting and other issues. We received 1 bid from Jordan Foster Construction in the amount of $12,151,850.40. So today we are asking for a motion to approve a CRRMA board resolution to authorize the executive director to take the following actions in relation to this project. Select Jordan Foster Construction LLC as the lowest responsible bidder and execute a construction contract with the lowest responsible bidder. And then we have subsequent items as well.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, I think I'm really comfortable with Jordan Foster, so that's perfectly fine with me. Is there a reason why you don't think we got other bids? Maybe because of the uniqueness of it? I'm just kind of curious. Are people just busy?
Yeah, I'm going to ask Edgar Fino from our general engineering consultant to chime in.
Yep. Ed Graffino, good morning, Board. Ed Graffino with GEC Atkins Reales. So, yeah, Madam Chair, since we only had one bidder, we went out and talked to the contractor. That was our first step. But in regards to your question, we reached out to the prime contractors that did get a proposal, and we asked them why they didn't submit. One of the contractors was they lost their estimator, they brought in a new estimator, and they didn't have enough time. Another contractor is they had too many proposals that they were working on, and they didn't have enough time to put in a proposal. And then another contractor is they just walked away because it was too big for them in regards to this type of project. Now, when we did talk to Jordan Foster, in regards to their bid items, they had 4 estimators that worked on this proposal. So it's the contractors that I talked to, they were just looking at one estimator to put a package together. And Jordan Foster did not do that. They took the time and the effort to get 4 staff members working on these numbers.
Okay. No, I'm fine with this. This is a big project. It's a federal grant. I want to make sure that we get it done right. So I want to make sure whoever we give the contract to, we have good confidence they can deliver. So I'm very confident in that. I was just curious, that's all. And you answered my question. Thank you.
Any other questions? I've got one, and that is, what was your pre-construction estimate?
So the estimate, if I can go back, there it is. It's at the bottom in yellow, the second to last line. The engineer's probable cost of construction was $7.6 million.
Okay, that's a significant delta there.
It is an increase.
That was big.
It is an increase. We do know there was some materials increased in price. I will point out that the county has looked at the bid. This is a priority project for them. They have agreed to provide the funding and want to proceed with this project. In fact, Daniel Marquez from the county is here if you have any questions, but they have the funding and have committed to this project.
Okay, would you please?
Good morning, everyone. Just to echo what Robert mentioned, the county feels comfortable with the contractor as well, of course, with the cost. We were anticipating to have a lower bid, but based on the circumstances, on pretty much the inflation that we have received on material and labor, we had to proceed for the importance to Utah as well for the county growing the airport. So even though that is high for the county, we feel comfortable that it's the best thing to do it now, because if we were to wait 1-2 more years from now, the price will not go lower. It will just increase. Having said, we have full support of the court to move forward with this project and provide additional funding requested and needed for the project.
Okay.
I have a question. On the estimate that's in the yellow, when was that done for the price to be so different between the two?
Well, so I think a couple things happened. One, I think the probable cost may have been a little bit low, but I think the bid's also high. So if you got 2 things happening, the probable cost of construction may have been underestimated or it may have been done early, and the bids may have been a little bit higher than we were expecting. So that makes a larger delta than we may have anticipated. But again, the county is comfortable and is willing to pursue the project, and it's their dollars.
And then this is not adding the other 2 hangars?
Correct. The other 2 hangars would not be included in this. This is for the construction of the 3 hangars, the water line to extend to the road, and then additional work around that area.
Okay, I'm still a little bit uncomfortable about the difference. And can you talk to that a little bit more, Edgar?
Yes, Ed Graffino, GC, Atkins Reales. Just like Robert's mentioning, the delta and the difference is rather large, and that's what we met with Jordan Foster and their staff to go over the bid items, and it was inflation or cost increase for the materials, the steel, the aluminum, the concrete and the rebar. And the second largest delta was the transportation cost. It's going from El Paso, going out to the Fabens location, as far as the driving distance and then the mobilization to get their heavy equipment out there. So, I mean, we did follow up with the contractor in regards to what the reasons were and why the cost was their bid as far as what it was. And their response is, we have given you a complete cost in regards to getting 3 hangars built. Well, actually, it would have been for the full package to get all those hangars built at a reasonable cost in regards to the location and the inflation cost of material.
Just one question. Did the or did the estimate include the 2 hangars, or was it?
It included base bid 1 and 3, and then the add alternates also included hangars. So we had 5 hangars total that we put out to the street.
But your estimate, the estimate that was done, did that include all the
It's apples
hangars?
to apples. No, that's
Okay.
just for that. The ad alternates were not part of the, I mean,
Okay.
we had estimates for that, but they would not, we're showing 1-to-1 here
Okay.
instead of mixing.
Okay, so basically what I'm surmising here is that their bid is valid and your estimate was way off. Is that correct?
Well, not so much as way off. It was just a matter of the numbers that our consultant put together. They were current and up to date. It's just that the contractor's numbers were, I guess, not more current, but more true values in regards to what it's going to cost them to build these hangars. Because we went through the review of the estimate through the process since the project started. And those estimates were increasing the closer we got to the bid opening. So it is a current estimate from our consultant, and the numbers we felt comfortable with. But what we got from Jordan Foster are the true values in regards to what it would cost to build the hangars out at the airport.
There's something else to add. The exercise that Atkins performed with a consultant, well, with a contractor, it was, there were some items near, as part of the hangars that as per the contractor, they mentioned those are not properly incorporated on the plans. So they mentioned we had to inflate a little bit the cost because there are some things that are not mentioned there, but they mentioned we have to perform the work regardless. So there's a guarantee from the contractor that even though that you don't have those items properly detailed on the plans, we are going to do it. Pretty much they are ensuring that the full construction of the hangar will be for a facility that someone can just move in and is ready to use.
Okay, so the scope has changed too as well, is that correct?
There were some minor changes. Well, there were changes as per the request of the county that we went through. They weren't major, but there were requests made and plan changes were made during the development of the plans. They were not last-second changes where we were in a hurry to take care of it. There was plenty of time, enough time and explanation in regards to getting updated plans or design included in the plans.
Could I say something?
Yes, please.
You know, one of the principals of this firm actually owns an airport and has built hangars. And so I'm going to have to rely that maybe they have a sense of like things that needed to be put in there that maybe we didn't factor in. So I have confidence that they'll do a good job and it's a complete bid. And that might be part of it, actually.
Well, regardless, can we add this discussion to so that in the future, if they go back and say, my God, they estimated 7 million and came in at 12 and they were all okay with it? Because that's a bit of a leap. And there was just reassurance that there weren't any anomalies in there in terms of the process.
And Mr. Reyes, that process will occur while we're going in construction, as far as comparing the plans to what's being built. And at the end of the project, a completed as-built is provided by Atkins to the CRRMA and to the county to show what was designed and what we had at the final product. That's one of the processes that we go through during construction management, and that occurs on every project that's being managed by the CRRMA.
Okay.
I have one thing to say. Back to the quote. To my understanding, we try to make knowledgeable decisions on bidders once we get that estimate. So when we go from 7,000 to 12, from 7 million to 12, it's such a big amount, even though the county is saying, okay, I agree with you. But I agree with everyone else on the board for us to ask questions. Just because the county agreed to it, we have questions that we want answered. So when we make our decision, it is knowledgeable on what we're given. So that's how come it's truly a big jump from 7 to 12, and we have to rely on these estimates to make our decision. So I agree with everybody asking questions because of that.
Just to add to that, don't worry, I feel the same when we open the bids. I have been involved from day one on this project since 2019, 2020, when we began the design phase of the project. We were anticipating a lower cost, to be honest. When we opened the bids, it was a huge surprise. Coordinate with Atkins, for them to coordinate with a contractor to do a proper, pretty much a detailed explanation on those, even though that some items we feel that, well, they're high. Based on the engineering opinion cost, we felt there should be some savings or something, but when we went over the process, even though my fair concern was, do we re-advertise a project, we do something else, we hold it and we wait a few more months, or we were looking to different options. By the end of the day, even though that we wanted to have a lower cost because we wanted to do more with the funding available, unfortunately that was not the case. But even though this is a best scenario, means say that if we were to wait longer, the prices will go lower, and mostly because we had to follow all those federal requirements. For the most part, we are anticipating, for example, steel to go down, which is one of the major driven factors for the construction of the project. That being said, I discussed internally with all the directors. It was multiple meetings just held to discuss the bid opening. They had the same concerns. Edgar was there and he was able to explain in detail the exercise that they did with the contractor. That being said, even though that we felt we were expecting a lower cost, we understand that is what it is. Unfortunately, COVID didn't help, and we're still paying for those, I will say, effects, even though that we are 3 years after that. So that being said, I concur with you, ma'am. We should be a lower cost, but the exercise was performed to do pretty much a proper revision of the bid package.
Okay. I'm understanding everything that's being said, but I will still come to the conclusion, and I'm comfortable that you all have reviewed all this, and the values are in fact real. What I am uncomfortable with, though, and I think I speak for everybody here, what they voiced, is why do an estimate if it's going to be that far off? Because all that does is raise flags as to what's going on. So through the process of reviewing the bid, you in fact reviewed your estimate and found that your estimate was wrong. Is that correct?
I wouldn't say so much wrong, Mr. Smith. It's more of these were the values based on the research by our consultant in regards to the estimates that are going on, not only here in the region, but statewide. Because the architects were looking at other projects that are ongoing or previous projects. So The consultant went through that process, and these were the values that they felt comfortable with. And well, the RMA, the county, and Atkins went through the review process in regards to the line items, the bid items, the scope of work, and we felt those were up-to-date values that based on our design. I mean, we felt we could go out in the street and bid this out.
I would like to point out two things. One, last month we had a bid for Faven sidewalks, and I think the estimate was around 1.6, and the winning bid came in at about 1. So I think there is some difficulty trying to figure out exactly what prices are doing on different materials, and that one came in under, this one came in quite a bit over. Second I'd like to point out is Matt Hardison from Jordan Foster Construction. The low bidder is here in case you have any questions for him.
Yeah, my questions are purely on the process, and I'm not buying your reasoning for the gap, okay? Because that's what we pay an estimator to do, is to figure out all those variables and come forward with an accurate estimate, so when we get something in, you know, we got a reasonable basis to make a decision. So I think the flaw, from my perspective, what I see is our estimator didn't do the proper amount of due diligence to figure out what the costs were gonna be with all of the variables. That's, you know, I could give an estimate, call around and say, hey, what did you pay for this? So that's what I'm uncomfortable with. Joyce, you have any comments on this?
So we can either ask the bidder what was in their bid that maybe was not in the estimate, if we're that concerned about it. However, I do not want to not approve this because I'm not sure we're going to do better. I'm thinking one of the reasons we didn't get a lot of other bids was this is a big complex project, and I'm not sure we would have gotten cheaper bids.
I agree with that. I think right now this is an educational process for our engineers and our consultants that, you know, to give us information that we can halfway use as a basis, so.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think
but based on everything that was said by the county, and I'll be happy to hear from Jordan Foster rep, if they want to talk based on everything I'm hearing, that is the costs are appropriate. And what my question is the preliminary to that, the precursor, and that being our estimating process.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
And so maybe the direction is they need to go back and look at what happened and give us a report down the road as this project moves forward.
Matt Hardison with Jordan Foster Construction. Thank you all for letting me speak. A couple items on this that we've seen. We track cost pretty accurately over the course of year to year. Just in a year's time, we've seen a 16% increase in our labor cost alone. Equipment and fuel costs are up roughly 12 to 15%. And some of our material costs, we've actually seen a 100% increase over the past 6 months. Things like base course and aggregates, where we were paying, you know, $11, $12, some of that's up to $27 a ton now. And those prices from, as Robert was indicating, the sidewalk job to today have seen drastic increases. Our suppliers are holding prices 6 months at a time. So in our prices, we have to carry escalations of what we think the market will do as this project progresses. So we want to shoot to get as much concrete down for the hangar floors so we can utilize those early concrete prices. So we've based our bid on an accelerated schedule on the front end to get the concrete down, to get some of these higher cost materials. And then we've worked backwards with our schedule for the buildings, which were a challenge in itself, and is probably attributable to the lack of bidders on the project. At Jordan Foster, we're fortunate that we have both a commercial and building group, as well as an infrastructure group that can in-house handle the entire project. And we do have experience with the hangars. But the material costs from day to day are shocking and alarming for us, because even on bid days, we're like, you know, the concrete was $100 2 weeks ago, and now we're looking at 160. So from the engineer's aspect, I understand the difficulty in the projection, because even we get shocked when we're trying to shoot for escalation or understand what our costs are going to be. But with this project specifically, we spend a lot of time, a ton of research. You know, our building group really studied the drawings thoroughly in detail to understand what was the intent of the building was, and to make sure we had every aspect of that covered within the bid. And I compliment Edgar and his team on the level of review that they did with us. I mean, we sat for 3 or 4 hours going line by line, item by item through this bid so they could understand that difference. And I think it will help, you know, as they relay that information on future projects.
Good. Thank you very much.
Actually, that was very helpful, thank you. I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Thank you all very much. I think you can understand the caution flag that goes up here with everything else that we've had going on, and it's very important that we get these things right as close as we can. And I would ask you all to go back and just kind of review the process as to what's going on, even in the midst of a volatile market. Okay.
I have one thing to say. And just like we know, even though it was one bidder, I think it was a good thing that the board had the different questions to ask, because for us, it doesn't matter if it's one bidder or 10. So I just want to say thank you for, you know, everybody considering their questions for that matter.
Okay.
Jim, I still
moving on,
have 3A, 3B, and 3C to go. I still have 3A, 3B, and 3C to go over before we go to 4.
That's correct.
Yes, okay. So item 3A is an interlocal with the county, an amendment to our existing interlocal for the design and oversight of design. It's adding just under $15 million. Again, $5 million is from the Economic Development Administration grant that they received, and then almost $10 million of other county funds. Item 3B is an amendment to work authorization with Hewitt-Zollars for design services during construction. And item 3C is a work authorization amendment with Atkins for construction management. And again, the county has reviewed all of the fees associated with these, with the 2 work authorizations, and has reviewed and approved the interlocal agreement, and staff recommends approval.
Okay. So do we need to amend the motion at all? That's what we...
Separate motions is fine.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the additional actions.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, now we're going to item number 4. Is that correct, Robert?
Yes, sir.
Okay, item number 4, discussion and action on board resolutions authorizing the execution of the following instruments as they relate to the I-10 frontage road extension project, phase 1. A, advanced funding agreement with TxDOT. B, work authorization number 2 with Consor Engineers LLC. And C, work authorization number 64 with Atkins North America. Robert?
Good morning. So this is a new project where we're partnering with TxDOT. They have asked us to design a 2-lane frontage road that is extending from Executive Center to Sunland Park. It's 1.71 miles, and it will include a shared use path. We also have and so they're providing the interlocal, they're providing an AFA, an advanced funding agreement for almost $2.9 million. We then in turn are working with a IDC firm, in this case Consor, for $2.4 million, and then Atkins to do design oversight at around $368,000. TxDOT has reviewed and approved these fees, and staff recommends approval.
Okay. Any questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Aye.
Okay, item number 5, discussion and action on board resolution authorizing the execution of an advance funding agreement with TxDOT for the Mission Spurs segment of the Paso del Norte Trail project.
This one may look familiar. We actually came before you in November with an interlocal agreement with TxDOT and work authorizations with a design firm and oversight. TxDOT has subsequently suggested they would like to use an AFA rather than an ILA, so we are changing the format of our agreement with TxDOT. There is no scope change, there is no dollar change. We are simply changing the type of document that we're agreeing to with TxDOT. Once you all approve, we'll get TxDOT's approval, we'll ink the 2 contracts, the work authorizations, and get started on this project. But no scope, no design change, just a change of what type of contract we're agreeing to with TxDOT at their request.
And that requires board approval to do that?
Yes, because the board previously approved a resolution authorizing an ILA, not an AFA.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, all those, I'll entertain a motion. Have a
I
motion, second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, so we're going to item number 6, discussion action on board resolutions authorizing the execution of the following instruments as they relate to El Paso County Tornillo Port of Entry Traffic Study. A, interlocal agreement with the county. B, work authorization number 1 with HDR Inc. And C, work authorization number 65 with Atkins North America. Robert?
So this is a new project to us, although the RMA was involved with the development of the Tornillo Port of Entry almost a decade ago. The county would like to study the traffic that's going in and out, what might be done to increase that traffic. So they have asked to partner with us and are going to provide $1.3 million. We, in turn, will agree on 6B, a work authorization with HDR to do the study, which includes like an economic benefit analysis and some brochure materials at the end of the study that the county can use to hopefully increase traffic at that location. And then also a work authorization with Atkins for design oversight. That also includes the use of a local PR firm, Barracuda PR, to do stakeholder outreach in the area. And so that's a nice feature of this, and maybe why, if you looked at the backup, Atkins is a little bit higher than it normally is for design oversight. It's because they have a sub that's going to handle the local outreach and to the stakeholders. Again, the county is here if you have any questions, but they have reviewed and approved all of these fees, and staff recommends approval.
Okay. Any questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve. Have a
Second.
motion, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Agenda item number 7, discussion and action on board resolution authorizing the execution of amendments to the following instruments as they relate to the Tornillo North-South Sidewalks Shared Use Path Project. A, interlocal agreement with El Paso County. B, work authorization number 1 with Moreno Cardenas, Inc. And C, work authorization number 39 with Atkins North America, Inc.
So this one didn't quite make it. We posted it hoping that it would, but it didn't quite make it. So I ask for a motion to delete, and instead we'll bring this back to you next month.
I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay,
Aye.
motion passes. All right. Item number 8, discussion and action on board resolutions authorizing the execution of amendments to the interlocal agreements with El Paso County for the following projects. A, Bob Hope Extension. B, Fabian Sidewalks. And C, County Transit Facility.
So this is 3 different projects, and we're amending the ILA on each of them, but we can take one action to approve all of them at once. The first two have no scope or design changes and no fee changes. The third one does have a fee increase, and I'll talk about that one. So 8A is an interlocal with the county for the Bob Hope project. We originally started with design 3 years ago on this project. The county provided us about $1.8 million to do that design. We were here in January of this year to add funding for right-of-way and also some additional design. The county wants us to pay for that additional design work using VRF proceeds. In order to do so, we need explicit direction from them. This ILA gives us that explicit authorization to use VRF funds to cover the design. So again, no increase. That was already approved in January by the board. All we're doing is saying the funding for that is going to come from the VRF, which we did not include in the amendment back in January, and we're now doing that to make sure it's clear we have authorization to use VRF funds to cover the additional design. Any questions on that one?
That's pretty much a county call, so I don't see any problems with that. Any discussion or questions? Entertain a motion to approve.
If you'd like to take all three at once.
All three?
Yes, sir.
And,
So-
sorry, if we're doing all of them at once, I just have a comment to make that I need to abstain. As to item 8B, my firm does do some work for Tau, which I understand their DBA is Huck Construction. So just out of abundance of caution, I'd like to abstain on item 8.
If you'd like, we can take them separately just so you can do that.
Okay.
So if you want to, let's go ahead and take a motion for 8A to approve that one, and then she can abstain on 8B.
Okay, so we're gonna do 8A.
Yes, sir.
Okay, motion for 8A. Have a second?
I second it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 8B,
Oh,
okay, have a motion.
do you want me to go over it first?
Thought you
Yes.
just,
I've only done 8A so far.
only
I'm
did
sorry.
A.
So 8B is, again, no scope or dollar change. It's an amendment. This is Hawk that Ms. Perez brought up that we awarded last month for the Faven Sidewalks project. As we did a kickoff meeting with the contractor and the related parties, we realized there's an efficiency if the county directly paid the contractor instead of that payment coming through us. It'll make sure the payments get paid timely. And so the county has asked that we revise the ILA so that we give them authorization to make payments directly to our contractor. We spoke with our auditor. They expressed no concerns. There's a little bit of accounting work that I'll have to do, but this will allow the county to pay directly to our contractor.
okay, I'll entertain a motion for 8B then.
I'll move.
Okay, have a motion, a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll
Have one-
abstain.
One abstention. Okay.
Item 8C.
C,
is the county transit facility. We've been before you a couple times with this one. Originally, we started with right-of-way. Last month, we added, or 2 months ago, I think we added a study that is currently underway. Now we're going to add some funding for preliminary design. So the county's providing $1.4 million, and we're going to do preliminary design, including some geotechnical survey and environmental work. This is not enough to complete the full design of the transit facility, so at some point we will be back with additional funding from the county and work authorization amendments to add that, but this work will be done concurrently with the study that is currently underway. Again, the county has seen these fees and, oh, I'm sorry, yes, we don't have the work authorizations today. We'll be bringing those back next month to do this. We just have the ILA, but we want to get that approved today, and we do recommend approval.
okay. Any questions on that? Entertain a motion to approve. Have a second.
I second it.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Item number 9, discussion and action on a board resolution authorizing the execution of an amendment to an interlocal agreement with the Village of Vinton for the Valley Chili Road project.
Good morning. This is another project that we've been working on for quite a while with the Village of Vinton. We've had, again, design, we've done right-of-way. We actually assisted them in their application of a SIB loan to cover the local match. 2 months ago, we brought to you to add construction funding. Well, while we were doing the design and right-of-way, the village was working on some water improvements in the same area. They also have received funding from HUD to pay for that. It's $4 million. This interlocal agreement gives us access to that $4 million. We will take the design plans for water, combine it with our roadway plans, issue one bid. The RMA will oversee that contractor and perform that construction. And so this is giving us access to the funds and the plans so that we can combine together, let the project hopefully in July, and then manage the overall construction. But this is money that the Village of Vinton did a great job in securing HUD funds to pay for additional water work at that location. They have seen the fees, or this is their money that they're providing to us, and so we recommend approval.
Okay, this is our very first thing with the Village of Vinton, right?
This is, yes, but we've been working with them for, I think,
Yeah.
4 or 5 years, but yes, it's a quite a good project with
Yeah,
them.
this is pretty cool. Is anybody here from Vinton by any chance? Okay. I think this is pretty cool. Any questions on this from anybody? Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second?
Second.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. Item number 10, discussion and action of board resolution authorizing the execution of work authorization number 2 with DEC El Paso LLC for the San Elizario Needs Assessment Project. Robert?
Yes, so this is an item that we brought to you last month, or the project. We did not bring the DEC study along with it, and so this is doing the work authorization for Dan and Mom to do the study. We're still pending San Eli's approval of the ILA so that we can execute the work authorizations for DEC and Atkins to get started on the project. Once we get their signatures, we'll be ready to rock and roll, but we do recommend approval of this item. Work authorization with DEC for a study.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, item number 11, staff reports. Discussion and action. A, discussion and action on the April and May board meeting dates. B, update on 2013 El Paso Comprehensive Mobility Plan, and update and status of the Pelicano Drive widening project.
So on 11A, we don't really need to do anything on that. I had talked to Raymond about potentially trying to combine April and May to later in the month of April, so I could be there in person, because I'm sensitive about not being there in person. But this seems to be working well. If you're okay leading the discussion, Jim, I can participate online and we can just keep the schedules as they are. Is that okay?
That's fine with me. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm going to be back. I'm going to be here on the East Coast through the end of May, primarily because my middle grandson is a senior and he's graduating, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and they live outside of Atlanta, so it's just easier for me to get back and forth. And then I'll be back by Memorial Day for the rest of the year, and then I will, take over in person again. So it's just a couple more meetings if you're all right.
I'm good with that. Everybody good with that? Can you live with me for that long?
We're good with that, as long as
Okay.
the watch don't talk.
Okay.
All right, fine. So we can just not do, there's no action on that.
Okay, no. All right, item B.
There's no action on this either. It is a PowerPoint update. We have not given it in quite a while. There's not anything major to report there.
Okay. Item number C.
Mr. Smith, this is Raymond Tays, Executive Director of the Camino Real Regional Mobility Authority. So I'm here to present on 11C. I figured I'd better make my voice known before Robert takes my job. So on this one, I want to go through a couple of things with you all, with the public, and then as usual, I'll ask you all to take us into executive session. We've got some attorneys that will be online to share a little more detail with you all. So as normal, I'm following the usual pattern that we've developed over these last few months. So there's a couple of categories of activities that I wanted to share with you all. So the first one is on outreach and other efforts. As we discussed last month, we did some weed removal and cleanup all along the Pelicano stretch. We've now completed that, and we're currently doing weed removal and cleanup along Mission Ridge as well to try to help out in that area. So that's ongoing right now. We're continuing our coordination with the Commissioner's Court and with the outside attorney that they've engaged. So that is ongoing. And then I most recently presented to Commissioners Court back on March 4th. They've requested a few more regular updates, so we're working out a schedule with them to see how often they'd like to see me come by with updates. So that's that'll be picking up in the coming months. So that's the general outreach and other efforts. In terms of the default, this one we've talked about a couple of times. This is the one where the RMA has submitted a formal demand letter to the surety back on February 6th, essentially saying you need to exercise the requirements of that bond. The surety, since our last board meeting, has provided a response back on February 15th, essentially saying that they are waiting for resolution on the default question. So that was their formal response. And this is one of the items we'll talk about in a little more detail with the attorneys in executive session. But we are preparing a written response to the surety's response and proposing some additional actions that we'll discuss in executive. So that's on the default from the surety side. In terms of the default on the JAR and trustee side, this has effectively had no change since our last discussion. This one is, as you'll recall, the trustee has submitted a claim against the RMA. We've provided a response to that. They've provided another response, and procedurally, we're going back and forth on that one. We have provided a response to them, our latest response as of February 14th, and we'll touch on this one in executive session as well. So that's that one. And then the last one is in the bankruptcy itself. So as you know, the RMA has filed a declaratory judgment action, and we're seeking a ruling from the bankruptcy judge. That happened back in January. The trustee has since filed an answer and counterclaim. It was due on February 16th, but they submitted it on February 21st. So it was a little bit late, but we have received that. And we'll talk about that counterclaim and the declaratory judgment action in a little more detail in executive session. But I will mention for the public as well that the bankruptcy judge has provided an expedited scheduling order, which will put us in court to resolve this default question sometime this summer. And we've got our attorneys online, so we can go into that scheduling order in a little more detail in executive session. So that's the big item I wanted to touch on for the benefit of the public on the bankruptcy. So with that, I would suggest that we move into executive session so we can have our attorneys brief us in a little more detail.
Okay, so I'm gonna hang up on this and come back, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, the time now is exactly 0950 on March 13th, 2024. The Board of Directors will now retire to executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, for the purpose of consultation with an attorney. We will reconvene the open meeting upon conclusion of the executive session. Okay, it is now 10:25 a.m. on March 13th, 2024, and the Board of Directors of the CRRMA is reconvening in its open meeting after deliberations in executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071. The board consulted with its attorney but took no action in executive session. So, any further business, Robert?
No, sir.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is
1,000 times aye.
adjourned.